Bill Goldberg just won the championship.
Oh, my God. Bill Goldberg with the spear.
There's nothing they can do to stop it.
I mean, this guy's out of his mind.
I said they'd never let us. They never let us. Okay, but like...
If someone asks Jim who is the greatest wrestler of all time, who would he say?
But you can't just say so-and-so was the greatest of all time ever at this.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but toot.
I may get the chair, but I'm going to kill him. No, I'm going to tell you what. I might just torture him, and then I'm going to kill him.
He had great matches all the time with everybody, really, though.
Let me be a mid-card wrestler. Let me just scramble around. Treat me like a piece of garbage. Feed me garbage.
Let me tell you something. I'm hungry. I am really hungry.
He doesn't like Colt Cabana. That's not a secret.
Never in my sickest dreams did I imagine that there would be other people taking dives on the concrete floors, committing human suicide on my behalf. Like I'm the patron saint of the sick sons of bitches.
Hello, and welcome to the Patron Saints of Six Sons of Bitches. This is Orchid. Colette and I very much appreciate you coming back to check out part 2 of our debut episode on Goldberg. Last week we covered his debut in WCW, talked about his U.S. title, victory, and reign, and wrapped up by talking about his July 6, 1998 victory over Hulk Hogan for the WCW World Heavyweight title. So instead of boring you with what's coming, I'm just going to go ahead and say, let's rip into part 2.
Speaking of Starrcade,
wait, hold
before
on.
we get, yeah.
There's, so the Goldberg title reign is not.
That's what I was going to ask if there's anything you wanted to speak of before.
It's
Starrcade.
not good.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's not good. It's not his fault that it's not good. There are a couple of great things about it. The two, like, I mean, there's like the biggest one I think both of us are going to talk about, but like the visual of him jackhammering the Giant is insane. And that is like key to it. But I think that the problem with like the Goldberg title reign is that it is repetitive quickly. Like it's repetitive in a way that like him squashing people was not, because when he was like running through the roster, he wasn't doing rematches, right? Like he wasn't doing like, 3 matches against Kurt Hennig, and he wasn't doing 3 matches against the Giant. He was doing 1 match against Roadblock and 1 match against the Barbarian and 1 match against Disco Inferno. Like he was going through people as opposed to like hitting the same guy over and over and over again. And despite how impressive some of the visuals were, it was very uninspired booking. And it made Goldberg feel like he was the side dish when he should have been the fucking guy. Like, this is a dude that you hand the ball to and just let him fucking run. Like, instead, they let him float until he, with the exception of one truly great match, like, did you watch the Goldberg versus Sting match on Nitro?
I did.
I did. That is
very good match.
Exceptional. I think that match is.
There's one other great match. Before we get to Starrcade 99.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. 99. Before we get to Starrcade 98, there's an even better match than the Sting one, and I think that Sting match is more important to like Sting than it is Goldberg, because it really. There's been a lot of talk on the internet about Sting and how washed he was after Starrcade 97, and I think that match and a couple others are good arguments against that. The really important Goldberg match from his world title run, though, is Halloween Havoc 1998.
Goddamn fucking right. All right, but before we get to that, I do have to ask you a question. You did just say that he was the side dish, right?
Yeah.
Between the title win and Starrcade, out of all the pay-per-views, how many did Goldberg main event? Do you know?
I think that he main evented just pay-per-views.
Just pay-per-views.
1?
Just 1.
Yeah, just 1. And technically, most people who ordered that pay-per-view didn't see that match.
Exactly. So the first show the first pay-per-view where he is the champ for is, where was it? Oh man, it almost sounded like I was really prepared for this, but I wasn't. So, Bash at the Beach 98, he wrestles Hennig, beats him in 4 minutes. You know main events that show?
That is Malone and DDP versus Rodman and Hogan.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And then the next pay-per-view. Yeah, I know you do. The next, I mean, I'm asking as if like I don't know. Like I like had to do research. I know this is just in your brain, but the next pay-per-view is Road Wild 98. It's a battle royal. Goldberg versus the NWO. Basically, what main event's that?
That is DDP and Jay Leno versus Hogan and Eric Bischoff.
So yeah, I'm watching this with my wife last night, and I watched, all of Road Wild, or I just put Road Wild on, and it starts with, like the kind of, the music video entrance where it's like, it says Hogan.
Yeah.
I'm like, she's like on her phone. I'm like, you have to pay attention because I don't even think she knows what happens. Right. She's just like, what the fuck? And then I'm like, well, let me tell you where it is. And she's like, why do they care it's Sturgis? I'm like, well, because he likes muscle cars.
Yeah.
And she walked out of it.
It is the only time I've ever found Jay Leno funny is when he's like daring Hogan to punch him on the chin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I that is one of the greatest. I did make her watch that as a visual. She's just like, "Why are we doing this?" I'm like, "Yeah, right. It's Saturday night. I'll be done soon, babe." But yeah, we can fast forward. The Sting match is good. I think we could get in the weeds, but for the sake of us trying to stick to what we believe is the ideal podcast time, I won't say anything beyond what you said. I'd mostly be reiterating you. But yeah, let's talk about the DDP match a little bit. What sticks out to you there?
It's perfect. It's just good. Mm-hmm. Like there's this thing, like the notion of a world heavyweight title match as a super fight in wrestling is one that is not it's not very old actually, and I think that it mostly started in the 90s. These like short, like punchy, like high energy, like idealistic and physical clashes between like two very different wrestlers who like have a lot going for them, and are staking everything to this one match, like this full tilt, like knockdown, drag out fight. And that is what this match is. And it is again, like, not to talk about another wrestler's greatness, but like DDP is like the fulcrum around which a lot of this particular match turns, because he has come to the conclusion, having watched all of Goldberg's matches at this point, that he has a weakness and that he will not tell anyone what that weakness is. But when it comes time for the match, he will exploit said weakness, and he does. And it works. And he, despite not looking like the sort of person who should be able to take Goldberg into deep water, let alone beat him, has a finishing move that is every bit as dangerous as the jackhammer, something that no one kicks out of and that he can do from like 1,000,001 positions, because of all that yoga he was doing. And like when you have that sort of intrigue, like you can pack in an incredible amount into the course of a 10 or so minute match. I think that this match has the DNA for so much of what follows in like post WCW like championship style matches. Like particularly once you get figures like Brock Lesnar and like Bill Goldberg, like these like superhuman figures, like with the championship, and like just the sense of presence and like the sense of style and body mismatch and like, you know, wrestler versus superhuman sort of thing. It's so, and for me, like personally, like as a WCW fan whose first wrestling shirt was a DDP shirt, like this was like the peak to me. Like this was like everything that I wanted. Like it was like this dude that I saw come out of nowhere and like become like the most popular wrestler in the world, versus this dude that came out of nowhere that I saw become the most popular wrestler in the world. Like wrestling for the world title, two WCW guys in an era where like everything had become all about the fucking NWO or the Wolfpack. Even though day in, day out, I am Wolfpack for life. It's just like, at the end of the day, this is fucking WCW. So like, getting a main event of a pay-per-view that is WCW versus WCW, like, this is what wrestling is. Like, this is what we're fucking here for. Like, again, like fucking tearing my shirt off going like, yeah. And everything about it is so fucking good. And like, in a way, they were kind of lucky that they had to refund so many pay-per-views, because they just got to show it for free on Nitro and like spank Raw the next night. They got to like double dip. Like, not only was this like a fucking great pay-per-view match, but like, holy shit, the fact that like 8 million people or whatever like saw this the next night.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the great main events of the 1990s. And it is, again, it's one of those things where like the romantic in me is always fascinated by what could have been in wrestling, turns, like, doors that were open but were not walked through. And I think that this is one of them, because this is what wrestling could have looked like with Goldberg on top.
And we haven't spent a lot of time yet talking about any criticisms of Goldberg.
I have
so
none.
This is going to be my. I do. I have some.
Hey.
Well, here's an opportunity for me to kind of turn it into a positive. So, one of the easiest knocks against Goldberg, and I'm trying to be really cognizant of the fact that me and you want people to listen to this who are not in the weeds wrestling nerds as much as we are.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to explain a concept of wrestling criticism that you know well, as does your Big Egg partner, since he is the one who is often credited for inventing it, even though he did not. I'm basically going to explain input and output as quickly as I possibly can, and use that as kind of talk about the greatness of this match. So a lot of the things we hear when critics are talking about wrestling matches and the quality of them, one of the things they talk about with a lot of frequency is the concept of input versus output. So the input in this instance, the input is I'll start with output, actually. So output is essentially what one performer can get for themselves that benefits themselves and makes them look like a strong competitor. Is there anybody you could think of off the top of your head who would be like a really good output guy? I mean, we're talking about one of the best ever right now. Goldberg is one of them.
Yeah.
Brock is another good example. I guess like Austin, right? Austin's another good example. Austin looks great at the end of every Austin match.
Yeah.
Trying to think of a more modern example.
Ospreay.
Ospreay? That's a fucking great one. Ospreay always looks awesome coming out of his matches. And then input would be. I was trying not to.
Yeah.
But yes, MJF would be another one.
I mean, he's up there.
He is. And then comparatively, what input is sort of what you are bringing to the match, so that your opponent ends up looking strong. One of the people who gets cited with this a lot is largely because this is how he approached his own work. Would be Daniel Bryan, as somebody who we talk a lot about having good input into a match. Another person more classic who I don't know, maybe Colette will disagree with me about this, but somebody who, in my viewpoint, is somebody who often at minimum is thinking about his own input into a match when he's laying it out, would be Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Anybody else? So. Yeah. Anyone else stick out to you? I mean, you're the one who has the historical knowledge, like
Randy Savage, I think, is someone like that.
Great one.
Bryan Danielson, I think, is that, certainly, sometimes to his own detriment. I think it's really tough. This is like one of those things, like William Regal is like one of those guys. Like when you start thinking about like great like TV wrestlers, like dudes who stuck around for like a million years, Arn Anderson is like an example of that. I think that like thinking about it in terms of like main event, like once you hit like frequent main event guy, it's a little bit more difficult to like kind of like grasp. I think that like, someone like Hiroshi Tanahashi fits that bill for me.
Absolutely.
Someone like Terry Funk fits that for me. Someone like who is like another kind of current dude?
I'm going to say one you're probably going to disagree with, and I would disagree with it too. But at minimum, he thinks about it. Hangman Adam Page.
I think Adam Page
probably to his detriment.
I think Page is like kind of a guy like that. Yeah, I do think that it's often to his detriment. I was going to say John Moxley.
Moxley's a great one.
Like particularly when you look at stuff like his series against like Kyle O'Reilly, like that sort of John Moxley performance, I think is like kind of the epitome of that to me. Eddie Kingston is like another one.
Yes, Eddie Kingston's a great one. The best at the moment in terms of input, and I don't give a fuck what you say, you or any of our listeners, is the most beautiful man to ever come out of New Jersey, QT Marshall.
Okay.
A man who can make Paul Walker Hauser and the Costco guys look like $1 million fucking bucks.
The question is,
he doesn't get the shine.
Should he?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Just in terms of what his job is, he is able to absolutely get a lot out of the people he works with. So
Dustin Rhodes,
everybody go watch him.
Speaking of
Dustin Rhodes, is
like dudes on that sort of level.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's why QT is still rocking, like despite not really
sucking.
I mean, I don't know. Like the only QT I really have experience with is his AEW stuff.
The same.
And like, I have no desire to see anything outside of that, but like, there's gotta be something to him, right? Like
one of my favorites, to be honest. I will not, if QT Marshall is going to be on my television, I'm not missing it. Anyway, that's the concept of input versus output.
He's a draw to someone.
Me and his mother. But that's
maybe just you.
Maybe it's just me. That's a good point. But yeah, God, don't tell the QT story about the furries. Okay. Anyway,
yeah, save that for the QT episode.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, so that's the concept of input versus output. I'm sure it's going to come up pretty regularly on this podcast, and we'll do shorter explanations of it. But for this match particularly, Goldberg is somebody who a criticism of Goldberg is often that his output is so much fucking higher than his input. And this is an instance in which he is not giving you like Bryan Danielson level input.
No.
But he is giving DDP a lot to make DDP look fucking fantastic. And it's one of those instances where DDP is smart enough to know, like, all right, to lay out a match with this guy and to make sure I don't look like a piece of shit. There are some things that I have to do. And it is very much what's in my bag. Of the diamond cutter, which I can pull out and hit almost anywhere. But it's just so sharp of him to just sort of be like, all right, I'm in a position where like I might finally achieve my dream of getting the title.
Yeah.
I have to wrestle this guy who makes everyone look like fucking ass. And he comes out of it looking really fantastic. And the thing I appreciate the most out of this match is up until this point, I don't know if there's ever an instance in which Goldberg has said this himself. For him, it was a job. He didn't study tape, any of that nature. I'm not sure if there's anyone he actually respected that he worked with. But fucking Christ almighty, when this bell rings, is it blatantly clear that Diamond Dallas Page is somebody that Goldberg respects?
Yeah. I think that there are plenty of people that Goldberg does respect. Like, it's like the Stings and Flairs of the world that he like rocked with. And DDP for sure, because DDP is a fucking genius.
Yes.
I think that the thing about Goldberg on an input versus output level, though, is that there aren't a lot of opportunities in which you get to see Goldberg putting in that kind of work, because that's not what he was booked to be. Like,
right.
He should not, there should not be a case, like an input case for Goldberg in like a 50-second match against Scott Putski, But I think that like starting kind of like with like, really, like there are moments where you do see it, like as early as the Steve Mongo McMichael matches, where like he's wrestling like someone that he respects on the level of like, this dude was a 15-year All-American football player with a Super Bowl ring, like starting there and then moving to like the Saturn match or like the Sting match, the Hogan match. Like there are moments in which like, if it's not obvious in terms of like what he's giving to an opponent in terms of like his body or like bumps or making their offense look credible or whatever, it's like allowing, he's an aura worker. Like he like, and when he is either rising to another wrestler's aura, like in the Hogan match, or making like Paige's like once in a lifetime shot. Like Paige enters this match knowing that he has to wrestle a perfect match if he has a prayer of beating him. Like, it's not even I wrestle a perfect match and I win. It's I wrestle a perfect match and I might beat this guy. I don't know. Like, this is like, again, I think that this is what you look at in terms of like, this is what Goldberg could have been if there was interest in making that happen.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, like there wasn't. Weirdly, I think that like the next very important match in Goldberg's career, and I don't know how long we want to spend talking about it because there's other stuff that I think that we want to get to. I have long been of the opinion that the Starrcade 98 main event between him and Kevin Nash is good until it's not. Like, I really like the first, I don't know, 8 minutes of that. Like this, because again, like you have established over the course of Goldberg's run that he can defeat giants or whatever. Kevin Nash, Big Sexy, the Giant Killer. He is the giant among giants, despite there being a guy on the roster called the Giant. And he's got something more going for him because he's the leader of the Wolfpack. He's like, you know, one of the most popular wrestlers around, blah, blah, blah. So it's going to be a little bit more like 50-50. And I feel like that match up until like the horse shit that ends up like ending the streak way prematurely, is good because it figures out like, again, it's a super fight. It's two dudes like just clashing, like locking horns over this very important, prestigious title. It's ostensibly two baby faces who both have like killer finishing moves and like by all rights would be fantastic world champions theoretically. This turns out to not be the case. But like it's a good match. Like it's a good match. Like it's compelling. It's weighty. Like Kevin Nash seems to be pissed off about Goldberg's existence, so he's putting some real like leverage behind his elbows and his knees. Like all of the slams are serious and meaty, and like Goldberg has to endure this, and he does, which, you know, until the WCW death weapon that is the cattle prod gets introduced. But like it's fascinating to me that one of the biggest boosters of like the Goldberg didn't have it and like people were getting tired of it, and like how do you make a match with this guy interesting over the course of like, I don't know, more than 5 minutes? Like guy is a dude who has a really good 10-minute match with him.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. I mean,
like,
it's curious. It's just curious. IMO.
I would go so far as to say, without the finish, it is clearly the best match of his career.
Of Kevin Nash's?
No, Goldberg.
Oh, I was gonna say
without the finish.
Big Kev's got some stuff.
I love me some Big Sexy.
Yeah.
But no, if I think the DDP match clears it by quite some distance, largely because of the ending.
Yeah.
But I think everything you just said, and then on top of that, just like from like a visual standpoint, like just those two men standing in that ring with the appeal that they both have. You're right. It is ostensibly two baby faces. Regardless, they're both over as fuck.
Yeah.
And it is like what Nash always says about that match is like, listen to how the crowd pops at the end of it, like, and tell me I wasn't the right person to go over. Debatable, obviously. I think the crowd would be going crazy if Goldberg would have won that as well. But just from just like an optic standpoint, to see somebody that tall against somebody that wide with not an ounce of fat on his body in that specific ring size. Like if you put that same match in WWF at the time, it doesn't look as fucking epic.
Yeah.
But it is like one of the best visuals of the era. And to see again the quote struggle TM like play out between somebody that's sizable, and in instances where it does look like Goldberg does not have an answer, which is the first time it's happened in his career outside of the DDP match. It does make him seem fallible and beatable. And it's I don't know. I think it's such a shame because, like, you know, it's interesting because I do think that, like, the purpose of this podcast is to make a greatest wrestler ever case for a specific wrestler. It's all downhill from here.
Not true.
All right, I'm happy to let you say otherwise, and have that convo as well. But it's one of those things where it's just like it's lightning in a bottle that gets extended for 18 months, and
which is crazy.
Ways in which we'll never be able to.
That's crazy. Like, what an achievement
for somebody who has no fucking clue what they're doing. Like, they're learning the job on the fly.
Yeah.
And it's like interesting what you said too earlier about, like, in the early stages of his career, like it does seem like he's like learning new moves like in real time, and like arguably you could say that happens for like another 18 months or so. But not to the extent, right? He's pretty much checked out as a person after this point. And I don't blame him, especially, you know, he didn't live or breathe this in any which way. Yeah, what a weird time to deflate the balloon.
Everyone who works at a major wrestling company believes that they have the luxury of the money printer just printing money forever. So they're allergic to actually making money when the opportunity presents itself. This is something that becomes true of Goldberg in during his first run in WWE as well, where it's like the crowd so clearly wants this, but everybody who works there so clearly does not. So they just set about to sabotage it from the start. Like, Goldberg's run ending at this point is largely motivated by petty jealousy. Like, you know, it is a forced reconciliation between Hogan and Nash, who have both realized that if they don't do something about this guy, that they're not going to be able to stop his runaway train of momentum for much longer. I think that the thing about Goldberg, like his first year in wrestling, his biggest success is that he was getting better all the time, which is hard to do when you're wrestling for 50 seconds at a time. But by the time he wrestles DDP and, you know, Sting, I think that Sting match is really important too. Because I think that's the first time anyone catches him in a submission hold. Like, he's in the Scorpion Deathlock for a while.
He's gonna lose.
Yeah,
he's gonna lose.
And then Hogan like interferes. Like, he's learning how to be vulnerable when it matters, which is something that is really hard to do when you're the kind of wrestler that Goldberg is.
Right.
And he's like sanding off a lot of his rough edges. Like, when you watch his early shit, like, people make fun of like Goldberg's like Sambo, like MMA, like, here's my weird knee bar type shit. And, you know, that's understandable, except for the fact that, like, if a guy like that took you down in any way, shape, or form, you're going down. Like, it doesn't matter if it looks good or not. Like, your ass is going on the mat. Like, sorry. Like, that's fucking Superman. He doesn't need to have a purple belt from the Gracies to tap you.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, so he wants to look a little cuntier when he's taking me down. I'm like, still on the ground.
It is what it is. But like, he was in the midst of like sanding off his like kind of rough edges, and like, I think that you can see the results of that in a lot of these matches, and I think that you can see the result of that in some of like these like post-peak matches that I think are a lot of fun. That like come about during him being like ostensibly sleepwalking. But like, you know, I think that later on, like during his like Japan excursion or like some of his early WWE matches, like, you are seeing Goldberg as someone who is like not only like basically like this like, you know, mythological relic of like the late 90s, but like someone who had really come into his own as somebody who understood the mechanics of a wrestling match and like how to like make that work. Good Worker Goldberg is maybe a little bit less interesting than this period. But like, I think that there are a lot of again, open doors that are not walked through with him, like I know that you're tired of me saying it because I've been saying it in your DMs for weeks now. That match against Hacksaw Jim Duggan where he is a villain and Hacksaw Jim Duggan is a man who is on a comeback from having his kidney removed post-cancer.
Yeah.
So heel Goldberg spends the match punching Hacksaw Jim Duggan's kidneys.
Yeah. He's only got one left.
It's so good. It's so good.
It is.
And he hated being a heel. He hated being a heel. But rarely in wrestling do you see anybody do that. Like, you don't see that. Like, people don't take that kind of shortcut as like a dominant heel. Like, he had a real understanding, generally speaking, of who he was and what his strengths were, and how to make that work with just about everybody, including another one of my favorite wrestlers, the Sandman. Like, the match that he has against Hack on Spring Breakout Nitro 1999.
Yeah, totally.
You're laughing. That match smokes.
I'll tell you why.
Tell me
in a
that
second.
match doesn't rule.
No, it does. It's just I'm laughing a lot because we've been pretty tight-lipped about who we were going to be covering like publicly. So, and I'm just gonna ask. I'm assuming you didn't listen to Violent People this week, right?
I have not listened to it yet. No.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I mean, whatever. It's a fucking 400-hour-long podcast.
That is part of the issue.
Yeah, it is. But I did bring up that we were covering Goldberg in that largely because since it's so long, so few people listen. But my co-host Pat said you need to watch the Hack match. And I had watched it at that point, and what just stuck out to me is this is just like, I love Sandman a lot. It just looked like a Goldberg match, and two of the people who I respect the most, for I have to be entirely clear, widely different reasons in you and Pat, both were like, no, that has to be one of the matches we talk about. So I don't have anything to say about it, but I need to hear what you have to say about it.
It's Goldberg doing an ECW match. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. It's so sick.
It could be that I've watched so many ECW matches in my life.
And, it's for me, it's the hackness of it all.
Yeah.
Like Goldberg, I will concede the point that by this, like, unless he is given a reason, like his Scott Steiner matches that come later in the run, and a particularly great, I think 1999 Nitro match against Ric Flair, which I loved. I love that match. Cause it's Flair doing the Flair formula against like a more powerful babyface, but it's not Sting and it's not Luger. It is like the next evolution of those motherfuckers. It is a guy with like traps the size of mountains, just like fucking his ass up. And like Flair is in this like psycho WCW president mode. So it's thrilling. But like the Hack thing is like, Hack knows that he is about to get fucked up.
Yeah.
Real bad. And he still gets his shit off. Like he's just doing his thing. I
love too the promo beforehand. It's like you could tell that he knows he knows what he's up against, but it's like Sandman's the sort of person, if I hear him talk these days, I just start going, oh, my baby girl. Like, he just hits me and like, I'm like, I just love that sort of Philly, guy.
No, but that's like,
you can just
Goldberg engaging with that kind of Philliness. Yeah. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah. And you can just tell though that like Hack is just like, I'm about to get my shit rocked, but I have to face my way through this in the promo. As it's just, he's talking to Ricky Racky of all fucking
Ricky
people.
Rackman, yeah.
Also, what a delightful little weird thing.
Also, I'll say this: Chris Jericho and his horse shit, too small time for Bill Goldberg. ECW, let's fucking go, baby. We're doing this at spring goddamn break. Like,
God damn, man, that's true.
It's great. It's great. It's so good. It's 3 fucking minutes, and Sandman still does his weird little cannonball sell into the corner. Like,
yeah.
How can you not? Like, he hits Goldberg with the fucking cane, and like Goldberg just goes, yeah. It's perfect. It's perfect. Like, you want the good Goldberg ECW match to be Goldberg versus Bam Bam Bigelow because they put so much fucking time and bullshit into it. But I think that, like, again, this is something when it comes to like my looking into what makes a wrestler great is what they do in situations that they ostensibly should not be in. Like, Goldberg should never have wrestled Hack. Why?
Right.
Like, the fact that match got booked, the fact that Goldberg was at that point being booked the same way that, like, I don't know, fucking like Ric Flair was when he showed up to like a worldwide taping and wrestled like Liz Mark Jr. Like, that's insane. But it gave us 3 fucking minutes where you could imagine Goldberg in, if not the ECW arena, then like, I don't know, fucking like the like White Eagle Hall or whatever Albany like former VFW hall they would run or some shit. Like, this is in every way, shape, and form. Like, it is Goldberg's Sid Vicious shows up for like 3 weeks during ECW match. And it smokes. Completely. It's awesome. It's so fucking good. I love it. And like, you don't get a lot of Freak Show Goldberg stuff because he didn't wrestle in too many places. So you have to celebrate that where you can. And for me, like, there are 3 wrestlers in the world that I think you need to wrestle before I consider you to be great. Like, and really any one of the 3 will do. But if you have not wrestled the Sandman, Terry Funk, or Toru Yano, I'm probably not rating you. Cause like, those are the 3 people that I want to see your idea and conception of self and wrestling tested against. I
loved it. I knew 2 out of 3 of those, and I'm hate that I'm shocked by Yano.
How are you shocked by this? I've like publicly said it many times for many years.
I know.
I think I did like a Twitter thread once where I was like, give me a wrestler and I'll tell you my dream match for them. And like 70 different people asked me different wrestlers, and all 70 were Toru Yano.
For me, it's Sabu in that situation.
Yeah, Sabu probably. For sure. Imagine Sabu versus Goldberg.
God, we were probably really close to it happening.
Probably.
Okay, in terms of, I'm gonna go back to what you just said to kind of get us through, like, over the hump in terms of the rest of Goldberg's career. And again, like, the point of this podcast is not to cover an entire wrestler's career. The point of this podcast is to make a greatest wrestler ever argument. But so in terms of like contexts that Goldberg should never have been in my opinion, one of those is WWE post 2002, and we'll get to that in a second. But before we do that,
post, it's convenient that your cutoff is the year before he debuted.
Exactly.
If he had debuted in 2002, you would have said WWE after 2001.
I'm probably on our next podcast, we're going to talk a lot about Orchid's feelings about WWE between 2002 and 2014. And well, we'll get there. But yeah, before we even get into anything related to Goldberg and WWE, depending on how much time we want to spend on it, does anything stick out to you specifically about his run in Japan? I'm not sure if I have anything.
I like it. It's short, obviously. Like, you could watch all of it in the span of like a network sitcom. I think that his match against Taioki is awesome because, like,
it's good.
He figures, like, you know, he's not losing any of these matches, obviously. Like, so he, for context, after being retired by Totally Buff at WCW Sin, which is great, good timing to have Goldberg not appear on your failing show after January 14th. He goes to All Japan Pro Wrestling in 2002. And he wrestles 5 matches. He wrestles Kojima, he wrestles Taioki, he wrestles Rick Steiner, and he's in a tag team match against Chronic with Keiji Muto. You don't need to see 3 of those 4 matches, and you should see the Hustle match that follows his WWE run, because it's a lot of fun. But, like, to me, the things that stick out about his All Japan thing is that, like, there's something, to me, you remember when, like, Hulk Hogan went to Japan in, like, 93 and called, like, the WWF title a trinket, and people are like, wow, fuck Hulk Hogan for that? Goldberg does the exact same thing. he goes to All Japan right after WCW closes. Not right after, but like a year and a half. And the Japanese press asks him why, and like, why are you here? And he's like, well, 2 reasons. Number one, I really respect Muto, who is the new booker of All Japan, following the passing of Giant Baba. I respect Muto, and I wanted to come here for him. And also, American wrestling is just entertainment. It's trash. And I'm here for competition. Like, he does which is the funniest fucking thing that like an American wrestler can do. It's like that forum signature where it's like in America, it's a joke. In Japan, it's a tradition. That sort of thing. In Mexico, it's a religion. Like, imagine Goldberg going to fucking Mexico in 2002.
Man.
But the Taioki match is great because what Goldberg has figured out is that like he's not just there to be Goldberg, he's there to like kind of shore up some of these dudes who have remained in All Japan after the Noah exodus. He probably hasn't figured that out for himself, but like, you know, that's but that's what he's doing. And the Taioki one is perfect for that because Taioki, and I'm probably mispronouncing his name, is like kind of a kickboxer type dude. So like when he kicks Goldberg fucking feels it. This is a 4-minute match.
Yeah.
But like Goldberg gets so excited. Well, for one, he's so excited before this match that he headbutts the door to his locker room so hard that he stumbles out of it. And then he gets even more excited because every time he gets kicked, like he's like, it's almost like sexual the way he comes alive for this. He's like, yeah. Like he's going nuts for it. And then Goldberg fucking stances up to him kickboxer style and like eggs him on to kick him some more. It's great. Like, it's so good. It's like the perfect blend of like the 10-minute Goldberg super fight and the 3-minute Goldberg squash, because you get what you want from like the hometown guy, which sounds really reductive. You get what you want from the dude who's from Japan, in that he kicks a couple times real good, and then Goldberg, he smashes him up real bad. But like Goldberg in that run, I think that he like doesn't win with the jackhammer until All Japan like decides, hey, when Goldberg hits the jackhammer, we're gonna have a graphic pop up on the Titantron, which is also sick. Right. Like, basically, you need to watch Goldberg's Japan run because it's fucking awesome. Like, it makes no sense. Like, why is he wrestling Chronic?
Yeah, he wins that KO match with like a
fucking like one hand spine buster after catching like he catches a kick with like one arm and like traps it, and then like uses the other to like goozle Kia, and then like picks him up and slams him down super rough, and then he goes, right.
Yeah, I guess it is a spine buster. I was just thinking that it was like a methamphetamine induced like urinage, like
kind of, but like
so fucking.
That's like, again. So like the other great, like I think really good Goldberg Japan match is the Hustle one against Ogawa, because he does the thing, like. Ogawa is again like a dude who does like a lot of MMA influenced things, and this is a promotion that is run by the same company that was doing Pride. So like there's just such a great fucking spot in the match where Goldberg goes for the spear. Ogawa does like a warm up, like a jiu-jitsu warm up, like mat roll to evade.
Yep.
Goldberg turns around and gets blasted with an STO.
Yeah.
Like, these are the things that I love about Goldberg. It's not just that like he hits people really hard. It's that he also can take getting hit really fucking hard. Like, he will give as good as he gets. The problem in WCW was just that like everybody was like a worker, so they were throwing worked punches at this guy who didn't know what any of that shit was. Goldberg should have stayed in Japan. If Goldberg had stayed in Japan, like either All Japan, like if he was in All Japan, he would have been the Triple Crown champion for like a million years.
Right.
Goldberg in Inokiism era New Japan is like my like the dream that I did not know that I had until I watched these matches. Like he's like they're nothing, but they're also kind of a revelation. They're just super fun. Like, it shouldn't work because it's so outside the realm of like what you expect from Goldberg that like they should suck, and they kind of do when he's wrestling WCW guys. Like the Chronic match is 18 minutes long. That is insane.
Yeah.
like that is the sort of shit that they should have fired Muto for.
Yeah, truly.
But like in a 4-minute blast where he takes everyone's best shot and people are laying it the fuck in because that's what wrestling is in Japan. It's great. Again, it's seeing a potential future for wrestling that cannot be, because unfortunately, New York had a lot of money. You know, Vince McMahon had a lot of money, and they were really desperate because Steve Austin had to retire and The Rock was leaving, and, you know, the Reign of Terror was happening. So I guess we gotta fucking have Goldberg come to WWE, which there's some good stuff there. I think that Goldberg's WWE run is where you get into the notion of him as a solid input guy, like not just an output guy, because WWE doesn't work like that. Like he has a lot of squash matches, right? Obviously, like a fair amount. You know, he wrestles Stevie Richards, he wrestles fucking, you know, Rosie and Lance Storm and whatnot. But like WWE is much more of a 50-50 booking company than WCW was. So, you know, in order to get 15 minutes with The Rock, you have to give a fair amount. Like it's not just The Rock stooging, and it's not just The Rock doing whatever. Like Goldberg sells a lot for him. There's that cage match against Christian that is really good. I think that the match against Triple H where he wins the title is pretty fucking good. And I think that that's mostly Goldberg, because Triple H shows up in his fucking biker shorts looking like he is off cycle. He is chubby, for Triple H. Like he's fucked. He's a fucked fucker in that match. But like WWE is allergic to making money unless they can claim that they made you. And so it doesn't work. Like it just doesn't work.
And I think the tough thing too is that like you hear a lot of criticisms from time to time about Goldberg not being a great seller. And like I do understand that, but my counter to that is that like on a micro level, it's not bad. Like he takes a punch pretty well.
Yeah, he takes a punch really well. The head shake.
Yep. He does love a head shake. The problem with him though is like on a macro level, and I think this is like the thing about the Trips match that really stands out. It's not the only match this happens, but he's not the sort of guy that you want trying to convincingly sell like his knee hurting for 15 minutes. And
he does a pretty good
like
job of it in the Rock match.
That's so sweet of you to say. I'm glad you feel that way.
I mean, well, all right. Let's not talk about the Rock match. Let's talk about the fucking Triple H match.
Okay.
If I were Goldberg and I were wrestling Triple H after years of knowing that this motherfucker, who is only in the position that he is in because of who he's married to, had been openly saying that I was a talentless piece of fucking shit, I would have sold way less than Goldberg did.
Right.
Way less.
Yeah, fair.
He is being generous. Like Triple H is arguably the worst worker of three people in that match, because Ric Flair is doing his crazy shit.
Yeah.
But like the match against like Jericho, like where Jericho finally gets what he wants, like a whole like 11-minute match against Goldberg or whatever. Goldberg comes out looking better for it than Jericho does. I mean, granted, you know, the problem with Jericho is that he's always had like an overinflated sense of himself.
Yes.
Which I'm sure is something we'll talk about later. But like Goldberg is the one who comes out looking good in that match. The Elimination Chamber match is one that like makes Goldberg look great. And you know, he is a wrestler who comes out of a lot of shit looking great. That's his whole thing. But like, I think he's got a lot of fun stuff during this time. The Mark Henry match, fun. Batista versus Goldberg is like an odd curiosity, like something that you kind of want to see. In like a more expanded format, because fucking Batista rules. Like, Batista's kind of WWE's attempt at making a Goldberg, and they almost kind of do it. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm captivated by this period of Goldberg's life where he did not give a fuck, had no reason to, was raking in money, and was still doing pretty good. It's also crazy that he got to wrestle like a pay-per-view in Japan during his WWE run.
Is that the Taker match?
No. The like, he wrestles Ogawa like during his WWE run, because he wrestles like he loses the title to Triple H in that triple threat match with Kane at Armageddon. Then he goes to Japan and wrestles Ogawa, beats him. He does the promo, my favorite Goldberg promo, where he goes, "This Sunday I eat chicken." And then he fucking just, goes back home and beats Matt Hardy in 2 minutes on Raw. he's the fucking man. I did not know that he wrestled Jonathan Coachman. I have not seen that match. We need to delete this whole podcast so I can go back and watch that. Question for you.
Yeah.
Where are you at on WrestleMania 20, Goldberg versus Lesnar?
Thank you for bringing that up. Where am I at? I think, to me, that match probably stands as my biggest criticism of Goldberg. Or it's the best example of my biggest criticism of Goldberg. Where do you land before I get into that? Because I do think that's probably a great way for us to wrap up.
I think it's really cool when people don't care about WWE and are very obvious about it.
Sure.
I think that it's and also it's been a minute since I've watched it. I think that the first time that I watched it, it's a victim of the fact that the fans that WWE fans in particular are maybe the most selfish in all of professional sports. Say what you will about sports fans who burn jerseys of players who leave town or whatever.
Yeah.
WWE fans are capable of being convinced that Stone Cold Steve Austin should have been more grateful for his job or whatever. And in this instance, they were told or given the heads up or knew that both Goldberg and Brock Lesnar were going to be leaving town and not coming back, and that neither of them cared about them and hated wrestling and hated the WWE and would rather be doing literally anything else than who knows what the fuck, I don't know, wrestling Spike Dudley. Though that would be pretty sick. Where's my Goldberg Spike Dudley match? Goldberg versus that would be awesome.
And I think the thing that's so interesting to me about that is that so that's what is happening. Yeah. And the first thing that you decide to chant is "you sold out." Yeah. And in my head, I'm trying to figure out
cool, you're still here, you dumb fucks.
Do you understand? And do you understand what those words mean when they're said in that order together? So selling out is trying to. Did Lesnar try to be an MMA fighter before a football player?
No, he tried football first. Neither of them sold out. Right, so they went from this to the unemployment line.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's that you're selling out by trying to make the practice squad of a sport you've never fucking tried before. That's a really interesting choice.
Yeah.
Granted, it's wrestling, right? No one uses their brain. They're just, especially with that company.
I mean, he made the practice squad, so.
He did. I do remember those. I remember those clips on SportsCenter from that time period. But
it's WWE's version of Nash versus Goldberg, I think. I liked it when I saw it. I thought that it was good. I think that Steve Austin is only there in an attempt to salvage things because they knew that this was going to happen. They knew that the fans were going to be like this. And I don't know, it's not the match that you want between the two of them, but you do get that match 12 years later. So it's not really worth complaining about.
So I do think, for the sake of time, and again, we're learning on the fly, we have an ideal time in which we want to hit.
Yeah.
We're going to get there eventually.
We'll cut the parts out when we talk about how much time we're taking.
Well, that takes time, and I don't have time to do that this week, unfortunately. So maybe that's another thing I'll have to build time into. But I think for me, how I just kind of want to like try to wrap up at least like where my argument for Goldberg lands. And I think like this match is almost the perfect microcosm of it. And you're probably going to disagree. I'm just going to get my spiel out, and then we're going to let you do whatever you want to do to like bring us home. But I think my biggest criticism of this match is that I think that when it comes to actually like being, if we're going to make an earnest case for you as like the greatest wrestler of all time, one of the things you need to do to actually be in the same pantheon of the folks that I consider in that conversation, there's a skill set you need that is very fucking difficult for any human being to have, but especially somebody who's like working in this industry. And it is to have an otherworldly sense of self-awareness about how to give the audience exactly what they want, and occasionally being 2 or 3 steps ahead of them to know what they want before they even do, like 3 months, 9 months, 3 years before they're even able to understand it. I think that's like sort of one of the things that, well, when we have the Moxley episode, I'll talk about that. But that is a skill set that Goldberg does not always have. He love the guy. He does have a grandiose sense of self-importance. Like, everyone does to be in this industry. And the things that happened to him early in his career sort of work against him being able to ever develop the skill set to kind of identify when and where he does need to like lay down. And I think that really like shows more than anywhere else post Nash, but really in his WWE career, because to your point, there's no way they're going to get behind this guy since he's not a WWE product. And well, how do you figure out a way to work around that, right? Like some of the other greats have, and we'll have episodes about them as well. But, and this is how I'm wrapping up my argument for Goldberg, the fact that he wasn't able to do that like later in his career does not negate the fact that, as we said, for 18 months, he bottled the energy that the audience had, where they were growing tired of seeing the same faces, and provided them with like a fucking beacon of hope for what the future might be. And that is something that we have not seen since then. And due to time and circumstances, because like there's no way you can develop that sort of like energy and enthusiasm. You can't tell somebody that they look like Stone Cold.
Yeah.
Or like, you can't tell me that somebody looks like, I don't like the guy, but you can't tell me somebody looks like as good as Konosuke Takeshita. And then like, create a universe where the first time I'm going to see him wrestle is where he's like absolutely destroying the fuck out of Kenny Chaos. And that to me, he's an element of his time, but the reason why he does have a strong case for me is that like he answers the question, what would happen if you had a completely unstoppable competitor who was too either stupid, which I don't think he was, but unskilled enough to realize that a lot of what his job was to make his opponents look better, right? I don't think it was that he was stupid. I don't think Goldberg's stupid. I just want to be clear. It's just, I think for me, more than anything else, like that whole input versus output thing, no one explained to him input. And if it did, it went in one ear and out the other at that particular point in his life. And that's A-okay. But like, there was just like, for a moment, if you really wanted to know what it would look like to put somebody who is invincible, infallible, and immortal in front of a group of folks, the WCW roster, who was too stupid to realize that he was going to run through them like a brick wall, Goldberg was your answer, and you're never going to be able to recreate that again. And that's why, to me, he's up there. He is probably one of the top 100 wrestlers of all time, at least that I've seen.
Those are all great points. What I will say to that is that Bill Goldberg is the greatest wrestler of all time. I will say this about many wrestlers on this podcast. Fret not, but Bill Goldberg is the greatest wrestler of all time. And I would actually say that the reason that Bill Goldberg is the greatest wrestler of all time is counterintuitive. I agree with you, Orchid, when you say that something that the great wrestlers often need to have in order to reach that kind of peak is a sense of self-awareness, but Goldberg paradoxically does not. And he like, not only does he not have that, he doesn't fucking need it, because he knows that when he is on the show, he is what you have come to see. There is a post-match interview in one of those All Japan matches that I gushed about, where a Japanese reporter asks Goldberg why his matches are so short. And he says, I am not paid to be here on a minute-by-minute basis. I am paid to do my job, and I am going to do it as brutally and efficiently as possible. And that is exactly what he did. That is what he did from his first match against Hugh Morris. And that is what he did, I guess, all the way until his last match against Gunther, which I have not seen and will not see because I will not allow World Wrestling Entertainment to snuff out the life of WCW one wrestler at a time. If Goldberg wants to wrestle again, and I hope he does, he does it somewhere that's going to let him fuck someone up in 3 minutes. Like, let's fucking go. That's how it should have gone. You can't have Goldberg lose his last match to someone that they quote unquote accidentally named after a Nazi. That's not cool. I'm not watching that match. But Goldberg, to stick with him, is a once in a lifetime thing. You couldn't do him, like you couldn't do what he did in the 80s. Not particularly well. Like they kind of did it with the Warrior, and there have been other undefeated streaks throughout history in wrestling that are far shorter. And like far, or even in the case of like someone like Asuka in NXT, like far longer, but ultimately kind of far less effective because of the way that it ended, or the way that it didn't end, I guess. Like it's just something that you can't replicate and that you can't predict the success of. I think that there are a lot of people who deserve as much credit for the Goldberg phenomenon as Goldberg himself. Like it was a rare moment of like crystal clarity in seeing somebody for what they were, particularly when it comes to the likes of like Mike Tenay and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Tenay is the one who pitched the undefeated streak, and Heenan is the one who called a lot of it. And like when you have two people in the industry who are that smart and that passionate and that capable behind you so early in your career, the world kind of unlocks itself sometimes. I think that a lot of his work speaks for itself. It can't not, because there's so little of it, that like what you have is basically like a solid binge watch's worth of just pure dopamine. He hits those beats again and again, even after the Nash thing. Like it's a match that I brought up all the time. The 5-minute White Boy Challenge in WWE, where he beats Rodney Mack in 30 seconds in Madison Square Garden, again conquering a venue that is sacred ground to the McMahons, and is the sort of place that you would want him to fail if he was to fail anywhere. Like speaks to how not just great that initial run was, but how strong of an impression it left. That like 2 years after WCW closed, but like, 4 years after the peaked with like the Hogan victory, you had a WWF audience like begging for some of that. People want what Goldberg has to sell. There's just no one capable of making it. And it is completely unique. There are 100 wrestlers that look like Stone Cold Steve Austin. There's Horace Hogan. There's Justin Credible. There's Carl Machine Gun Anderson. The list goes on and on. There's 100 Stone Cold Steve Austin lookalikes out there. And of all of them, this is the guy who makes a case for himself as himself, and who stands toe to toe with some of the all-time figures of wrestling with no background to stand on. I don't know that anyone else could have had that match against Hogan. I don't know that anyone else could have had that match against DDP. I don't know that anyone else could have had that match against Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series 2014. And I also think it's sick that he dumped Undertaker on his head in Saudi Arabia. So Bill Goldberg is the greatest wrestler of all time. Until next time, when we will be making a case for an entirely different cultural figurehead in the great sport of professional wrestling. Orchid, do you want to tell the people who we will be talking about?
I do, but we are figuring this out on the fly, and I think I just figured out a really cool way for us to wrap this up, and I just want to ensure that we do this at the end of every episode. I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to ask me the same question. You answered it twice, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Colette, is Bill Goldberg the greatest wrestler of all time?
Unquestionably. Orchid, is Bill Goldberg the greatest wrestler of all time?
Not a fucking doubt in my mind. Absolutely.
That's right. The only person who gets to say no is Bret Hart.
Yeah, and then to Colette's point, Bill Goldberg, we'd love to see you in a different promotion. Let us know when you show up at Grand Princess to wrestle Yuki Arai for the Princess Championships in Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, I'll see you at Dean against Mad Dog Connolly in a dog collar match.
Slim J. See him against Slim J.
Two Georgia legends,
That'd
baby.
Be fucking amazing. Holy fuck. I go fucking nuts for that. Okay. But yeah, no, thank you very much for joining us for the debut episode of the Patron Saints of Six Sons of Bitches. Our next subject will be the one, the only John Cena. I'm going to talk to Colette about how we're going to roll that out, but we'll see you in a couple weeks.
It's Word Life.